know, they think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Man, I got a nice, good nutritional value type deal for y'all this evening, man. The big fish is back. And I don't think a lot of people like that. But we still gonna deliver that head crack. Hope everybody's enjoying a Sunday. We did get some boxing. We had a little event, and it went a little late. Went into, the normal time when you could catch the prelims and the fights and all that, but I still was able to catch what I needed to catch. We're gonna get into that. We're just gonna have a good old conversation today, man. We're gonna have a good conversation, man. It's fight week for Z Big Fish, man down. And people act like, man, the man didn't have a real fan base, man. I'm not going to steal any of my own thunder, but y'all can tell by the thumbnail that I got somewhere that I'm going with this, and we will get there. I just been I wouldn't even say a couple of days off, because even when I don't go live, I'm still doing my research. I'm still doing my homework. I still have my ears to the street. I'm still reading the tea leaves and seeing what's going on in these YouTube streets. You know what I mean? Because I call this the pulse of boxing, meaning at any point in time, no matter what's going on, I can give you a pulse of what's going on, and I'm pretty accurate. I've been putting out energy for vision ever since I was like in high school, and I believe I could see things ahead of time when it comes to certain things. A lot of time when I speak on it, it don't get the emotion or attraction or whatever, but somebody else will come back and say it afterwards, and they'll get all of the praise and glory for it. It's always a curve, between when you understand something and when everybody else get it, or what have you. We got another troll in the building already. I appreciate the viewership, but we gonna ease into this one, cause this gonna be a good one. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but we're gonna ease into it. We're gonna break it down, man. Sometimes, like when it come down to doing content, sometimes, man, I do allow myself to just be a fan. And since we start with what's going on inside the ring, and then lead ourselves to outside the ring as it pertains to these boxes, because this is one of them channels where we ain't gonna really get into your personal life. If you do something, you know, we're not gonna do that. So, and I know we in the times where it's gossip and salacious and all that. We're not gonna get into your personal life. We're just gonna assess you as a fighter, talk about the events surrounding your fights and what you got going on. If you're moving right, if you're moving funny, if you're ducking, if you bobbing and weaving outside the ring, or if you one of them people that we can you know, get accustomed to seeing, that's gonna be responsible and do their thing, man. If you somebody that's blazing the torch, blazing the path, if you putting the stake in the ground for the sport, you know, something that where young boxers come up behind you, and if they model themselves after you, will boxing be in good hands? We're gonna highlight that. We're gonna talk about that. You know, for years that was the big fish. So, you know, is any of these boxers without any kind of criticism? No, none of them are perfect. You would think by listening to some of these content creators that they are, but they're not. Why? Because they're human. We're all human. And this is a channel that we pretty much try to bring in a real life philosophy, real life concepts. We bring that along with our critical thinking skills when we come to talk boxing. So most of the time, it's our objective that you can leave here with something in your rucksack that you can carry on to your next boxing conversation. That is the objective. It's not to get you triggered. It's not to get you upset, angry, you know, even though sometimes facts can do that. Facts can do that. They can and will, especially if you're part of the narrative squad. If you behind what most of the time what major media is pushing, and we know it's a war going on out here. We know. Some of us are aware. With my military experience, man, sometimes I can't help but see things in that vein. You know, little wars that's going on, and I be seeing the strategies, I be seeing the patterns and what people are doing to the game, and it's disappointing at times, but I'm here to help you stay abreast of what's going on, help you rekindle whatever it is so that you won't fall off of boxing, because boxing is a niche, and this channel was a niche inside of a niche. So it'd be kind of hard, like really, like boxing sometimes make it kind of hard for you to follow it. And if you are following the wrong person, channel, people, you can get off, you know, you can get way out at sea. You know what I'm saying? We trying to ground you. We trying to bring you on shore and put your feet on solid ground when it comes to these boxing things. That's all we try to do, man. Just like when we be reading them copyright disclosure, we just try to tip the conversation and balance the fair, man. In favor of fair. That's all we want to do, man. We want the conversation to be in favor of fair. Sometimes we got to say some things that's not popular to say. Sometimes we ruffle some feathers. I mean, it come along with the territory. You know, it's not one of them places where we're built on popularity. You know, we're based on the truth. Even when it's ugly, we gotta speak it, because that's life, man. We can't run away from it. We gotta embrace it, man. We gotta learn how to embrace being comfortable in the uncomfortable, you know, and keep moving forward. That's all we really gotta do. But with no further ado, I'm gonna get into the housekeeping. Number 1, Diego Pacheco's dilemma explained. Are you saluting him right now, or are you full of skepticism right now? Or are you kind of right in the middle? Well, I'll give you my take. Diego Pacheco was pretty much. Let me go ahead and do this. This might help. I think people need this. Diego Pacheco was pretty much one of my guys. You know, I did like the skill set. I did see that, okay, man, even though he's a tall guy, he was boxing to his strengths and all of that. You know, he had a nice knockout ratio. He did wind up having his last, prior to last night, he wound up having his last 3 fights before that go to decision. And the very last fight he had, he fought up against a guy named Kevin Tszyu. And I always say that that's one of them guys that I think every fighter has to go against that style. That's that armadillo style. Chin tuck, they throw wild overhand rights, like something that they have to really practice, because throwing that punch, especially the way they throw it, chin tuck, like overhead blind, where it's just coming up over the top, you don't know where it's going to land wherever. You kind of got to practice that. You kind of got to have a technique to be able to deliver that punch. He went up against that style, and that style, you're not going to look good at going against that style. And there are fighters that have styles that you're just not going to look good against. I think Sean Porter was one of them guys where he just had a style. Now he didn't have the armadillo style. He had a rough, rugged style. But when you was going up against him, you're not going to look your best good. Sean Porter make anybody look bad in there. You know what I'm saying? If you're not elite, you're not beating Sean Porter. I will say that. But that armadillo style, that'll be along the likes of how Kevin Tszyu did it. Maidana had that armadillo style. Who else had it? Pitbull kind of got that armadillo style. He pretty much do have it. And I think every boxer has to. You don't really know what your boxer is until they face that style. You know, you don't know. That's just a rough, rugged style. Like a lot of them guys just like that. It's hard to stop those guys. You know, they have chins, but they deliver enough power and they are rough enough to where it's like you can't. You know, in football, they say quarterbacks like a clean pocket. They don't like people dangling around their feet and all that. They want a clean pocket to operate. And a lot of quarterbacks that fail are the ones that can't concentrate when they got people swimming under their legs. The other ones are just like, look, I'm in the pocket. I'm locked in. I'm dialed in. That's that kind of style. When you're in the pocket with that kind of style and you're not locked in, it's going to make you look bad. I think people have a hangover from that last fight, right? But more so, you know, me and AC, we talked about it over here. We said that we didn't like the news. We didn't like the news about him, you know, ducking or saying no to a title fight with Hamza Shiraz, right? I was saying, ooh, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Were we a little bit too high on the guy? I don't know. We were just as high on Hamza Shiraz going into the Carlos Adames fight. Carlos Adames made us eat crow. But look at Carlos. I mean, look at Carlos Adames now. Yeah, he's moving up. It's word that he's negotiating with Aussies Iglesias, right? But then look at Hamza. Hamza been doing this thing. He put Berlanga out as misery. You know, so things change. But this is my takeaway from it. Diego Pacheco left his trainer. You know, it was several guys that actually left. You know, Jose Benavidez. You know, if you think about El Rayo, he dipped out. It was a couple people of note, like the ones that most people know is El Rayo and now Diego Pacheco. It was a couple people that left, right? And they went and found what they found. They went on to have some success as well. You know, I look at it like this. There is a time when you're changing trainers and you have to get acclimated to that style. I think if we were to look forward to this weekend, we're going to see, how well Errol Spence takes to a Rodney Shields, right? We're going to see how he adapts to it, right? We remember when AJ, he was with Derrick James and he had to adapt, and it was almost like, you could see the wheels turning. And at first, sometimes it'll slow you up because you're thinking more and you're trying to implement, and it's in real time. Now, you done sparred and you done all that, but now we're trying to put, get that ship out to sea and see if it's going to float. This is when the rubber meets the road. So there are times where you're trying to implement these new styles and take the tutelage and also break some of the habits that you had before. So there is an adjustment phase. And I could have been one of them people that just came down on Diego Pacheco, but I had to sit back and think. I was like, man, okay, yes, we would want a guy like Diego Pacheco to go ahead and seek the smoke. We want them all to seek the smoke, and we want them all to be like, I'm in the mess hall with my chest out. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going, boom, ping, pow. Anybody can get it. You can't, like, on some Adrian Broner. You want it, but look at what happened with Adrian Broner. Not having a measured approach. Not saying go look and find weak competition and all that, but you got to look at, okay, what are their mouths saying, right? What is the game plan, right? And then what kind of opponent are they looking at next? It's a multi-layered onion, and you got to peel that back. So I said, you know what? I'm going to relax on Diego Pacheco. I still like the skill set, right? There are some things where I see that he can improve technique-wise. Some of the technique. He got some great punches, but some of his technique, I think that's one of them things where he got to be in there for like 2 hours, like just working, getting that muscle memory, like regrouping and letting his coach say, all right, your form ain't looking right. Do that again. Okay, this is how it should feel. Take a picture of it. Have him do it in the mirror. Have his coach pause him when he's in certain stances and say, look, this is how it look. Okay, so remember how that feel. If your body don't feel like this when you're doing that, your form is wrong. You're not so it's some things like that I believe he can work on. And I know that as he has more tenure with Buddy, he's going to get more comfortable with it. But the other thing is this. How often do we hear these guys all day, every day out here to where they actually tell you, I beat down King Kong leg. King Kong ain't got shit on me. And then they go and do everything contrary to what they're saying. Yeah, we like the Abdullah Masons we like the Abdullah Masons, the old Shakis and all that. But then some of these guys, especially at 25, they'll take a step back and say, you know what? I'm not really ready for that right now. I need more. Why? Because this sport is brutal. So this is not to condone no ducking. Don't get the message twisted. That's not what it's doing. But isn't it a breath of fresh air when you don't have, because it's like, it's right now, boxing is binary. Either you want all the smoke, you're going to go for the biggest, baddest, you're going to burn yourself out, you're going to do all this, or you ain't going to do nothing. You're going to talk all this stuff on social media, and you ain't going to do nothing. Is it not a breath of fresh air to hear a guy say, you know what, I just changed trainers, right? I noticed that there's some things I got to work on, I got to get better at, and I'll be ready. Not saying, oh, no, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I'm going to go as long as Jaime Munguia was in the pocket. 30, 40, 50 fights, you know what I'm saying? Not as long as Zerto was in the pocket, 30, 40, 50 fights before they made him get off the pot. Not like that. But isn't it kind of refreshing to hear a guy say, you know what? There's some things I got to work on. I'm going to be there. I'm in this line, right? I'm doing my thing. I'm headlining. I'm still getting my knockouts. I just got back to my knockout form. I wound up stopping the guy. I got my rounds in with a tough customer who, Lester Martinez didn't stop. I always question the B&B thing. Was Bud just that special? Or was it Bud? Like, because we see how some of them guys from them, but Lester Martinez didn't stop that dude. Diego Pacheco did. But I'm hearing these criticisms, and you'll hear people that are like, oh man, Lester got next, and this is because of the affiliation. But I'm like, are we really talking facts? Are we really talking facts? Is your boxing conversation on Snack? Not mine, you know what I'm saying? Not mine. Mine is not on Snack. Mine is bare bones, just straight logic, real reason. You feel me? So I think it's a breath of fresh air for Diego Pacheco when you look at the whole big picture and what he said. He said, look, I'm not there yet. I will be there. Oh yeah, I think I need like 1 or 2 by this time next year. Okay, cool. I would take that. That's honesty. I would take that all day, every day. Then what, I'm not even going to talk about old boy and how he been moving. How he's saying he the face of boxing and he's going every which way but where the smoke is. I ain't even going to bring him up by name. But it's refreshing to me to hear a young guy say, you know what, I'll be there. I'll get there. Let me do this. This is what I'm going to do. And then if the opponent aligns with, if they call out a guy that aligns with them, okay, taking a step further, or like somewhere where they like, okay, at this level, I think I can get this guy. let me get that under my belt, then I can get the next guy. I mean, that's kind of like how it is in life, right? Especially when you go through the ring and you've been, you know what I'm saying, you young, you know how this boxing world is so unforgiving. That's a breath of fresh air to me. So me, I'm still saluting him for what he was able to do last night. And originally, it was almost like right when the commentator said, it was like, man, what happened to the uppercut? Diego Pacheco got a vicious uppercut. I was saying, what happened to the uppercut? Is that a thing where, buddy? But right at that same time when I was thinking that, the commentator said, yeah, he's like, I seen he hasn't been throwing his uppercut that much or whatever. And then he got to cranking it. But I think that was one of them things to where we saw that young man in there thinking. He was in there with a guy who was like, he was outgunned, right? But he was a tough customer. Look at him. Lester Martinez was banging on him. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of says a lot, man. I think people don't even realize when they really be like, when they're being hypocritical, when they're contradicting themselves, people don't really realize it, but they give analysis all the time. Me, I take a more measured approach. I take and sit back and look at it and say, look, man, like, is this guy lying to us? Like, no, because people say, I don't like him. He's not on that level. Okay, he's telling you, okay, I'm going to take this step. And guess what he said? Jaime Munguia. Perfect. Because I'm not high on Jaime Munguia at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be willing to say that last fight against Resendiz, I've never seen Jaime Munguia, especially as of late, I've never seen Jaime Munguia have all that energy, be that active, be that strong. It was like Resendiz couldn't do nothing. I was like, man, I just, something ain't look right with that. I don't like doing it, but we know the history, right? We know the history. I'm not gonna open up that can of worms, but Jaime, he didn't look right. That fight didn't look right, man. He looked like, yeah, he looked like he had a little extra something, you know what I'm saying, if you could read between the lines. To me, that's just my opinion. And I'll be honest with you and say, I was never really high on Jaime Munguia. You know what I'm saying? I was never really high. I was just like I wasn't really high on Berlanga. I mean, I kind of like him. I made a couple dollars off of him, you know what I'm saying, you know, for the knockouts. You know, I did make some bread off of Berlanga a couple times. Was never really high on him. Winning bread on somebody and how you place bets, that don't mean you agree or whatever. So I agree. Resendiz, right? Only reason why I would like the Munguia over the Resendiz is because Resendiz would be the logical next step. Why? Because he lost to Munguia, but he wouldn't be. Why? Because he's coming off of a loss. But had Resendiz went back in there and got something under his belt, right? And then, you know, then he was gonna get a Resendiz and then get a Munguia and then go for the Shiraz and, you know, everybody else. Perfect. That means that you're notching it. You're stepping up. You're stepping up. You're stepping up. You're not at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, beating on your chest like you know what I'm saying, like some of these other young Thundercats out here, and don't give us nothing. They find more excuses as to why, oh no, I'm not fighting him. I don't like the way he talked to me. Oh no, I don't like that because yeah, I ain't taking that offer. Even though it's the highest money you would make in your career, you're not taking that fight. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? They spend more time on social media than I do. I don't get it. But to me, I would like to see him and Jaime Munguia. And Jaime Munguia, if he looks like he looked with that, like if his work rate is that high and he's that strong, the way he looked against Resendiz, man, that'll be a dog fight. Diego Pacheco will really have to be on his A game, you know, if he go up against that Munguia. I like that. You know, I was disappointed when I heard he didn't want to fight Hamza Shiraz. When I sat back and thought about him, like, the man verbally told us out of his mouth, like, yeah, I had to make some changes. I made some changes. I'm getting adjusted, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. A lot of people say, oh, no, I ain't ducking. You come to find out they had paperwork signed. It was this offered, that was that. And they'll just lie to, you know what I'm saying? They'll just lie. You'll mess around and have to call an ambulance for somebody holding your breath, waiting on the real truth from these cats. Diego Pacheco ain't do that. So he's headlining, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he a 6'4" frame. He's still only 25 years young. So all of these guys are not going to be like Iron Mike Tyson right away. Some of them, they got to kind of notch it up. Some of them get fast-tracked, and some of them, you know, it's another guy that's out here. He's getting fast-tracked, but it's like we still don't know what he is. He just moving divisions, and he hasn't really beat the who's who in any other of these divisions, but he's moving up. And we got a decision. We waiting on a decision probably from him, you know what I'm saying, him and his situation tomorrow. and the other big name that he's in contention with. You know what I'm saying? So different strokes for different folks, y'all. I like Diego, man. I'm not giving up on Diego. Irony Boxing, salute. Salute Irony Boxing. I appreciate if you hit the likes, you know what I'm saying? Everybody not gonna like this one. This is a Errol Spence piece, man. So everybody not gonna like this one. They definitely not gonna like once I get into that part. But salute for coming in the building, Irony, man. Great show Friday. If you haven't, man, subscribe to Irony Boxing, man. I could talk boxing with, you know, him in the little channel he got, not little channel, with him and his channel and the guys that he got. I could talk boxing with them forever, man. Some level-headed minds. They talk boxing the way I do, man. So if you haven't subscribed to Irony Boxing. You're welcome to put your link in the chat if you want. If you don't know him, put your link in the chat, man. But let me get through this housekeeping. Number 2. But yeah, salute back to Diego Pacheco to close it out. Diego Pacheco is moving in the right direction. He wants a Jaime Munguia. He's not saying he's King Kong. Not yet. You know what I'm saying? He's still working on himself. Hey, as long as he's honest. You know what I'm saying? We got to give him some credit for that. So salute to Diego Pacheco for what he was able to do. You know what I'm saying? Aleem, Aleem gonna go back to the drawing board. Aleem gonna be he's gonna be gatekeeping or a measuring stick, a litmus test. He's gonna get plenty of checks. He's a durable guy for the most part. You know what I'm saying? He's a very durable guy. He can push you to the limit. So salute to him too, man. For he could have just gave up, but that Diego Pacheco, you know what he was doing? That body work. He started doing that body work, you know what I'm saying? And I'm telling y'all, man, like all my guys, the qualification for you to be one of my guys is to do that body work. You know what I'm saying? So none of my guys that I got that I be checking for don't do that. So, I'm giving, I'm gonna ease up off of the Diego. I'm gonna let him get some breathing room, go through his maturation phases and step it up and then step it up and then step it up. So that's that. Number 2. Pound for pound lists are weaponized, right? What do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? Pound for pound lists are now just ways for you to either discredit somebody that really has like pound for pound talent or that are elite, or for you to like big up somebody that you're really like pushing for. They might not have done anything that was like pound for pound-esque, but people put them on the pound for pound to show their love and admiration for them, which is cool. But that's not really what the pound for pound really is. Like pound for pound means like it's like the elite, the creme de la creme, the very best, like the very top. Especially if it's only 10 slots. If you're going by that metric, it's only 10 slots. You just can't like even sometimes even just beating a champion. You just can't get on there just from beating a champion. You can't. But this is one of the things right here. And people like, this is what you got to start doing, because this is what I think. I think pound for pound conversations are just filler. Pound for pound are filler for people who really don't have a lot to really talk about. So they want to allow people to insert and inject their opinions and go back and forth and do all of this. But that's what pound for pound really is. It's filler when you don't have no real content. That's what it is. But you got to qualify some things. Let's just qualify some. Let's go over some things that I found to be odd about pound for pound, and when people have it. That's why I don't even do them no more. I don't do no pound. I did it 2 years ago, and I probably had to take like one person off. I might have to take 2 people off and put 2 people on, right? But everybody that's on there pretty much is still on there. That's how solid mine was. Like the order and the levels of where they was at, that might change a little bit. If like the one I did 2 years ago, I had to take maybe 1 or 2 people off and add maybe 1 or 2, right? And then maybe change the order and the levels. But the one I did 2 years ago still standing. Just got to tweak the order. Somebody retired, so he got to come off, and then that leaves a spot for somebody else. And I don't put heavyweights on it. Back when I was doing that. But this is what I found odd about pound for pound lists. I don't really know, like, okay, if somebody, let's say when somebody beats somebody, right? Somebody beats somebody, and then they're on the pound for pound list, but the person that they beat wasn't on the pound for pound list. Like, I don't get that. I mean, could it be a situation? Yeah. So let's just say hypothetically. Let's say hypothetically. Let's say Bud wasn't two-time undisputed, right? Let's just say he wasn't two-time undisputed. You know, he got belts in all them divisions, right? And then he jumped from 54 up to 68 and beat Canelo. By beating Canelo, I think that will put you on there. Why? Because of everybody that faced Canelo and whatever, you know what I'm saying? Those things. So I'm thinking beating a name like that, because a lot of people didn't have him on that list. Like, a lot of people had kind of pulled Canelo off. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't many people I saw that still had him up there on the pound for pound. They know he was still a big revenue generator. He's still, you know what I'm saying, one of the guys that really move the needle, whatever you want to call it, in the sport. But like, you can do that. You can beat a name like that. So if Canelo wasn't on there, right, and let's just say Bud had just got a couple divisions, a little strap here and there, he jumps up and beat a guy like that. Yes. To me, okay, by your metrics, if you're going by that would say, yeah, okay, you deserve to be on there. But I don't understand how in the last couple people that was on it, like in the last 2-3 months, 3 people got added to the pound for pound list. I'm like, well, who are you taking off? And who did these people beat in order to remove the people that you took off? It don't make no sense. So, for example, Navarrete got on there. Who did Navarrete beat to be on the pound for pound list? Especially when he went up to 35, got his ass busted, and went back down. And we were saying, okay, he's probably a weight bully, but he's a force to be reckoned with down at 30. High volume, awkward. You know what I'm saying? He can overwhelm you. You know, but we know technical boxers give him a problem. You know, that's why I really want this O'Shaquie Foster fight to happen, because I think Navarrete he's too slow. Yes, he has the volume. I think he's too slow. We'll get into that some other day. But Navarrete had got put on there. I seen not too long ago, they had put Devin on there. I'm like, what? They didn't do this, like, I don't think they did this after the Brian Norman. There was talks about it, but I'm like, was Brian Norman on the pound for pound list? Because a lot of people was like, when you had a conversation about him and another guy who went up to 54, people were shitting on Brian Norman. But when Devin beat Brian Norman, automatically pound for pound. Now, there's an argument for Devin if you want to have it because of the multi-divisions with him, you know, notching up like that. Him being undisputed at 35, one fight against Kambosos, he got it, right? Moving up, getting Regis, right? And then ultimately landing at, he had a catch weight in between, but then landed at 47 and beating one of the most dangerous guys, probably the most dangerous guy at 47 at the time, with Mr. Boots going to 54. But he wasn't on there. But then I guess that was the justification to put him on the pound for pound. Was it the 3 division? Like, Tszyu was another one. Now, I had him on my list, but a lot of people didn't have him on the list. And why did I have him on this list? Because when you look at it in his early stages, he did everything that Devin did before Devin did it and didn't get the credit. That's what I be trying to say, man. Like, if it's tight, it's right. But he did everything that Devin did before Devin did it and didn't get the credit. That's history. That's not something you can really argue. That's factual information. That's fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Fact-based material right there. He wasn't on there. So I'm like, okay, so once again, was it the people that Shakur beat? Because, okay, there was one thing, okay, to say, all right, you're on the list, right? But then if you didn't have Teofimo Lopez on your pound for pound list, right? Then how did Shakur become number 3 pound for pound after beating a T.O. and then with nothing else, no other fight, no nothing, just a whole bunch of talk, whole bunch of media tour and all that, didn't become number 1 with nothing else happening? Who dropped off? I don't know. That's why I say pound for pound talk is weaponized. It's either to big up a guy that you really jockeying for, you really got your rose-colored glasses on for a guy, so you put him up there, and you can say, yeah, my guy do this and that. But even though he hasn't shown it. Even though there's more people that you know that he won't fight than what he will. But he's up there. And they saying this man is arguably #1 now. He was #3 after beating Tszyu, and people didn't have him on there. Oops. And it's also to not have somebody on there that should be on there. So we know there's people that should be on there, people that always get overlooked. They never get talked about it, but they done beat fighters that done spanked your favorite fighter's ass. Yeah. Stopped them. Like 93.33% of them stopped him, and he's never had all of the advantages. Maybe one or two times he might have been taller than the guy, but like never had all those advantages. Never even get placed on there, never get talked about, never even when he was active was never really on there, and people never said it. So it's like that's another weapon that's going on with this pound for pound. So we got to qualify these pound for pound talks, and if you having them, it's filler because you don't really got nothing to talk about. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel. So don't get caught up in a war where the pound for pound list is being used to weaponize you, to trigger you, to get into a conversation, because people don't really have nothing to talk about. I mean, unless you're a historian, like OG Kaz, Irony Boxing, them historians, maybe Crush, historians, they can talk about stuff like that. You know, because they watch and they, you know what I'm saying, they do they talk about history, real boxing history, going back, know the dates, the times, all these fighters, so that's cool. But like if you're not part of that, then that's not something you normally do. You're pretty much using pound for pound talk to weaponize it and to be filler. The last one. Hey boxers, leave bare knuckle boxing alone. I was joking with my man Errol Spence. He had commented on my thumbnail earlier. He put the laughing emoji. And this is what he was laughing at. Let me take this down. Oh man. Look at this, y'all. Ay. Listen, man, leave this bare knuckle shit alone. I was joking around because I was telling Errol in the comment section. I said, man, don't go chasing them waterfalls, man. That bare knuckle boxing like a waterfall, man. Hey, stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. I think that's like Ephesians 3:11 or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But stop chasing these waterfalls. This man actually won. A couple weeks ago, Austin Trout got knocked out. Austin Trout got knocked out doing that bare knuckle. I'm like, man, come on, man. Jamel Herring got his pack busted. And, you know, not too long ago, damn, this was Paulie, and Paulie won. So if it comes down to you getting into that bare knuckle, man, and even as a winner, man, come on, man. Y'all, you know, y'all got the rest of y'all life. I'm sure y'all have children, you know what I'm saying, family that care about you. If anything, man, at the ages that these guys are, man, you can't afford to be getting your shit busted up like this, man, and have to go somewhere and be, you know, because for a while, Paulie was having to wear the shades, man. But let's leave this bare knuckle boxing together and let this be Let this be a warning sign, man, for these boxers to invest your money, do right by your money, right? Make sound investments, save as much as you can. They say save all you can and sit on a can. But leave that alone. You know what I'm saying? It's not a place, man. It's that's for them young guys. Them young guys that's like kind of crazy, you know. So I think you got to be kind of crazy to go out there and do that. But it's a market for it, you know. It's a market for it. People capitalizing on that market, and people are doing it. I just don't think that these guys can really afford to get that done, especially after having a career in boxing, getting hit in the head for a living, and you know, especially the older you get, the more susceptible you are to get to developing CTE. So why would you be getting pounded on in boxing for a whole career only to retire and then go get like bare knuckle, like where it ain't no pad, like hardly no padding? Nah, man, it's like you gotta find something, find a better hobby and something to do, especially if you got children, man. So that's my PSA. That's my housekeeping. But I know what everybody came here for. Everybody came here for that. This is what everybody came here for. So we're gonna go ahead and transition into this. The big fish, Errol Spence. Right now at this time, I wouldn't always say. I would say, man, people, a lot of people love or develop the love and appreciation for Errol Spence over the years. I mean, he's the guy that some people try to model themselves like, I don't want no tune-up. You know, some people, I don't need no tune. I don't do tune. Errol came on and said no tune-ups. Errol never ran, duck, dodge, no smoke. None. Nunca, nil, zero, zilch. And so the way he moved, he was the same one that said, you know, keep that same energy. That was Errol. Errol would tell you, hey, man, keep that same energy. So he had a reputation for being a devastating body puncher. He was a former Olympian, even though he didn't place, he didn't medal. He was known as an Olympian. They asked in that class, you know, who was like the hardest worker. Everybody said Errol Spence. Said he was the hardest one in that class that he was in. And he did medal. Everybody know the history. They people heard about the sparring. You know how I feel about sparring. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But that information was out there. The epic, you know, session that he had. Even Andre Ward asked Errol about it, and Errol was like, "Listen, man, I don't really do all of that. You know what I'm saying? That's not my thing. I know it's out there, but everybody know, you know, what was said that happened in that sparring. He gave." And Floyd was like, yeah, it was great work. He got some great work. You know what I'm saying? It was what it was. And Errol, he wound up going out to AT&T Stadium, filling out that stadium. You know, I think he had like over 50. And we'll get into the nuts and the bolts, but people got to understand that for the longest time, Errol Spence was the man at the welterweight division. He was the man at the welterweight division. That was the glamour division. That was the division that division was hotter than fish grease at one point in time. And he was the guy that was ruling and reigning in that division. And I always say, man, you know, holler at me when your favorite fighter can put together 3 straps. Even when you look at it, Bud came up there and got one, right? Then he fought, he stopped everybody, you know what I'm saying, that he fought, came up there and got a strap, and then Errol, he let Errol get the other ones, and then he got another strap. But holler at me. So if you think about it, Bud collected them all 4, but like holler at me when your favorite fighter could go into a division and collect 3 straps in that division. That cannot be. You can't undermine that. Jamel did it at the division above, where he went one by one and collected 4 straps. Holla at me when your favorite fighter does that. A lot of times people get a unification and they might piece together the other one, but holla at me when you go get one by one. He ran to Terrence Bud Crawford. Everybody know the history of that and what happened. But Errol always been respected. He's always been favored by the boxing community. You know, he didn't do the most interviews or whatever. But he always said things and then moved in a manner that was conducive to the growth of the sport. Now he's had a snafu, right? He got a loss, he got a blemish. He had inactivity. You know, he has the out of the ring things that he was going through. The bottle, the accidents, things that everybody, tend to overshadow what he was able to do in the ring. It was like, even through all of that, the things he was able to do with Ugas, the things he was able to do with Danny Garcia. These fights where everybody want to diminish now, but it's like, man, I don't care what you say, man. Errol was that guy. And there's a lot of us that's going to still, be pulling for Errol, putting out positive energy for Errol. And we don't know until he get back in the ring what he is. But we got to think. Deontay Wilder, right? What did he do? Deontay Wilder pulled Tyson Fury up off the couch. After 3 years, Tyson Fury was on drugs, overweight, suffering from depression. And everybody like, yeah, he's, blah, blah, blah. What wound up happening? We seen fighters like Manny Pacquiao get face planted. I ain't never see Errol get face planted, and to refresh everybody's memory, Errol didn't get knocked out. The referee came in and stopped it in the 9th. He came in and was like, enough is enough. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't take a knee. He didn't quit. He didn't do none of that. Terrence Bud Crawford wound up solidifying himself as #1 pound for pound, and then went ahead and retired. That's the only blemish on Errol Spence's record. But you let the media tell it. Oh, y'all see that barcode? That means there's going to be nutritional value in this one. But major media, I think major media is trying to sabotage Errol Spence. And then his own fans are trying to sabotage Errol Spence too, because once you start dipping and dodging into that whole Derrick James stuff and all that, you just as bad as major media. Why would you do that ahead of his fight? That makes no sense. Like, you're just as bad as major media when you do that. For one, why now? Why make it a point now? All you're doing is adding to the clutter of things that major media is doing to get in the way of this guy's fight, to garner some of that traction off of this and all that. You know what I'm saying? People running down Errol Spence's resume right now. I'm like, man, come on, y'all. Like, holler at me when your favorite fighter do the things that Errol Spence was able to do in the game, and then y'all can talk. But I got something for y'all. Look at this. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes, y'all. Errol Spence Jr. Narrative under fire. The case that major boxing media may be judging the comeback before the bell. How many of y'all are judging this comeback before the bell? How many people have their mind made up the bell hasn't run. We just doing the lead up, but like, how often do you see because other people, like, I'm gonna be honest, man, other cultures really don't do this, man, to their people. I mean, think about it. You got Manny Pacquiao. They were saying Manny Pacquiao and Tank Davis is in negotiations. Manny Pacquiao just fought Mario Barrios not too long ago. You won't ever have nobody standing at the top of their lines. Man, I just don't want to see Manny Pacquiao. Man, I just whatever, man. I just don't want like just arguing, screaming, getting belligerent. But that's what they doing about Errol. The standard: one loss should not erase a championship resume. Spence is 28-1 with 22 knockouts, y'all. That means he's knocking out 11 out of 14. 11 out of 14 people was getting knocked the fuck out, y'all. Regardless. Accident, no accident, whatever. He ran in the bud, and that was the one in that. But 11 out of 14 people he was stopping. Relentless body attack. His only loss came against Terrence Crawford. Crawford was widely treated as elite pound for pound after the Spence win. He the one who got Bud lit. Bud Ben had skills, but that's when Bud name really took off. Why? For the legacy. So if Errol Spence wasn't then how did Bud get lit? But we have a lot of boxing fans. They want it both ways. You know, we don't go like that. We don't have it both ways. Yeah, unfortunately, people are looking at Spence the same way as Michael Moore, Wilfredo Gomez, and others, where for whatever reason they are mostly known for that loss. Shaking my head. Yep. Great point. The question is Spence being evaluated by evidence or by mood? Because I told y'all, he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age. Meaning that whoever's controlling the media, whoever got the mic in their hand, whatever publication or video or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying, even me to a certain extent, I'm influencing what you're thinking right now. I'm not major media. I don't have a bunch of millions I can set out there and say, yeah, say this, and then you say this, and then you say that. We all gonna be in unison. We all gonna be in the same sheet of music, and this is what we gonna say. Lock in step. Major media do. The powers that be got people out there. That's a whole another level of influence that people really don't comprehend. They just get caught up in it. What the negative coverage keeps emphasizing: ring rust after a long layout. That's legitimate. Ring rust is real. We seen what happened with Bakram Murtazalian. He was out for what, 18 months? A guy who nobody would have thought that Josh Kelly, man, if Bakram was who he was, nobody really would have thought that Josh Kelly would have been able to get him. You can still argue that Bakram won that fight. He did file for appeal, but we seen what ring rust did. They waited that man out. They used the IBF not to get in that line. They waited that man out. It's just like what they doing with Jamel. Anybody else that was lineal, look at what Tyson Fury took off for 3 years. They but he was lineal. So yeah, Jamel don't get the same coverage. And he was undisputed at 54. So people always like to say, oh man, email champ, blah, blah, blah. When Jamel Charlo stepped in that ring, he was stripped. So anybody at 54 that got a belt, how they get a belt when Mel had all four of them? They got it because they was given a belt. Boots was given one when it happened to Bud. Amanda Stanyanis, he had to fight like an eliminator, but like, come on, like, you know, it happens, but like, I'm just giving y'all some things to think about. And they will say, yeah, everybody said that. Everybody was saying, oh, with the ring rust. A lot of people was having that same, you know, criticism for Keith Thurman coming back, ring rust. That's a real thing. You know, people are going to start talking about that. If Virgil stay out for too long, if he can't get a fight, and get a good dance partner, people are going to say, oh man, when he been out, so that's a fair criticism across the board. That's fair. That's just typical, standard, analytical, evaluation. The Crawford beating as the defining image. Again, I say, we saw Manny Pacquiao get face planted. He got hit and he went out and landed on his face. They saying he might be in negotiation with Tank today. Nobody said, oh man, he got face planted by Marquez. Nobody says that. Weight changes and travel complications. Now we get into something. Weight changes. You could say that, okay, cool. Floyd said he should have been at 160. They're going to try to do it at 58. As long as both parties agree and they say that, because this happens all the time, right? This happens all the time. They have a weight and then a week or two before, it's just amplified. Why? Because it's the big fish. So he changed it to 2 pounds. Whoop-de-doo. 158, 160. It might be better for Tszyu. I don't know. I didn't hear Tszyu really complaining about it. I don't know. I think that's, in travel complications. Travel complications might have also been with Marcello. But I'll say this. I don't know. Only a fair criticism would be acclimation. You're supposed to go by your time zone, and there's a metric for it. You can look it up, because it was the same criticism that I had for Fulton and them for not going over to Japan early enough. That's a real factor. Not getting over to a country. I seen when Earl got over there by the math. I don't know if that was. If you're going to use that vein, if that's going to be one of your things that a sliver of the pie in which you say, hey, look, we are analyzing this and we do this with everybody, then I don't know if that was early enough to acclimate. That's a fair evaluation. That's, you just, analyze, hey, man, like, yeah, sometimes you got to be over there. You got to really get used to it. It takes time for your body to get used to it. That's a fair assessment. If anybody would say, oh, man, I don't know if you got over there earlier, I'd be like, hey, man, you onto something. You know what I'm saying? But that's not egregious. That's not nothing that's like, oh my God, we do that with everybody. We do that with all them guys that go over there to Saudi when they was doing the Riyadh cards and all that, Riyadh season and all that. We was doing, hey, did he get over there early enough? Did he do this? Did he do that? We was asking, did Brian Norman get over there early enough when it came down to Devin? We seen Devin and them had been over there. I think they had been over there for close to a month. You know what I'm saying? So, and Devin and them pointed that out about Brian Norman. So, a payday narrative around the comeback. Everybody's saying, is it just about the pay? I think when it comes to all boxers, it's about the pay. The question is, if everything goes left and he continues to do it, because I think with a resume and a legacy like Earl, I think you have a right to see it, especially with the way he said it. He said, look, man, it was a while. It wasn't until I got up and I said, I want to, I want to do this again. I'm ready to come back. He said, and then, a day went by, and then 2 days went by, and 3 days went by, and then days went by, and he was like, yeah, I still feel like I need to come back. I would appreciate that, other than, what we seeing with some of these guys. These guys ain't going in there doing no bare knuckle just for the sheer love and thrill. They doing it because they want to pay their, but we see these guys that do it. We see people who, hey man, you need to go ahead and hang it up. They trying to do it with AB now. He making his comeback, and he doing this, he doing that. Is he just doing it for a check, or is he doing it for the love of the game? We can tell when people were doing it. It was speculation as to whether or not Wilder should have been doing what he was doing. So that's a question that anybody can be at. Like, at some point in your career, based on the outcomes and you getting stopped or knocked out, or the damage you've taken, if your punch resistance is still there, that's a fair question for everybody that's in there. The resume. The part that gets minimized too easily. This is what's getting minimized about him. Kell Brook. Kell Brook was a bad boy. I know that Kell Brook beat Sean Porter, unstrapped Sean Porter for his strap, right? Kell Brook, he was giving Ganali Triple G. He was giving him the fittings before he got caught. He was doing what they call it, daring to be great. Salute, Quee. I appreciate you. What's happening in? I appreciate you. Hope you're enjoying this boxing conversation on the good old Sunday. With Kell Brook, Sean Porter. I talked about Sean Porter earlier, and I said, man, he was a rough customer for everybody. You're not gonna look good getting in there with Sean Porter. Up until they told him he was down on the scorecard with Bud, he was making a great account for himself in that ring. And that was coming off of, he was semi-retired. They were friends. He really didn't want to do it. I appreciate that like button smash. I appreciate that. Hope Quee rub off on everybody. Irony and Quee, hope y'all rub off on everybody and smash the like button. This is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Danny Garcia, a legend in Philly. He put pause on Danny. Danny done had his wars. He knocked out Matisse. Matisse. You're Dennis Ugas. I think you're Dennis. I believe, in that fight when it was him and Sean, I think he kind of edged it. But that's one of them fights where I'll go one time, and I done watched that fight a couple times. That was a good scrap. You're Dennis Ugas and Sean Porter. And every other time, it's like, okay, I was like, yeah, I think Sean Porter won. I watched it again, like, nah, I think Ugas got this one. I watched it again, I'm like, I don't know, man. I think Sean. That's just one of them fights to where it's like it was up in the air, and I think that's one of them things to where your preference. A lot of people might have said Ugas, but then we seen what Ugas did to Pacquiao. Because Pacquiao beat Keith, Ugas put pause on Pacquiao. And then we seen Barrios put pause on Ugas. Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson was nothing to shake a stick at. He from the DMV area. He from out here. Chris Algieri. I was never really big on Chris Algieri, but respect on Chris Algieri. Mikey Garcia. This is the one that got me confused because I seen a large channel where they actually made a short out of this, and I'm like, is it just me or y'all just sound like some haters? Mikey Garcia. Multiple title fights. Unified champion status. This is not a resume built on smoke. Like Errol Spence was not a resume. Like you can't piece this together with no super glue. You couldn't. Look at those names up there. Mikey Garcia, the criticism, he moved up. The context, he was not ordinary. We just talked about Kell Brook daring to be great. They really set Kell Brook up with that move. They really set him up. But like, there's a lot of people that dare to be great. They jump up, daring to be great, and they fight somebody. But like ESPN poll before the fights, they had Mikey Garcia at number 5 pound for pound. They had Spence at number 6. So think about that. If so you mean to tell me, that's why I was trying to tell y'all, man, these pound for pound lists. At the time, they had Mikey Garcia at number 5, right? So he's ahead with one being the greatest. Mikey number 5, Earl's number 6. So wouldn't you think, isn't that like pound for pound type teams? If you're on the list and you move up and you fight a guy that's on the pound for pound list, doesn't that justify the fight? If y'all both agree to the weight and y'all get in the ring, like if Jesse Bam Rodriguez move up and fight Naoya anyway, as everybody gonna be like, oh my gosh, Naoya, look at what he's doing. Ain't nobody gonna say that. But it's crazy how y'all it's crazy how a lot of people are waiting until now to take up all over Earl's resume, and then they're using Mikey Garcia. A lot of people go back and look, do your homework, do your research, go back and look at that time. I remember it like it was yesterday. I went to Hooters and saw that. I remember like I still remember what I had on that day. I said, man, Earl probably gonna have Mikey pissing blood for like a week, 2 weeks. And it was cruel because it's like he could have stepped on the gas, but he just wanted to just beat him up. He just wanted to beat Mikey up. But Mikey was number 5. Mikey was ahead of him on the pound for pound list. And because he moved up, ring level recognition made the fight significant. After Spence dominated, the win was easier to downgrade. How many times do that happen? Salute to Melazar. I'm sad Spain won the World Cup. I have watched so much soccer. Okay. Shout out to Spain. Salute Melazar. But yeah, they downgraded this win after Spence dominated. Wow, they were disappointed. Go back and look at your favorite content creator when this fight was going on. Go back and look at all the people who predicted that Mikey Garcia was going to beat the crap out of Errol. And this is what's funny. We saw Mikey Garcia put hands and feet on Adrian Broner. I mean, he was in there molly-whopping Adrian Broner. So he get credit for that. And then Spence going there and molly-whop Mikey. And he don't get no credit for that. Y'all see how that worked? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that fight? Mikey Garcia had all answers, and it was almost like whenever Adrian Broner put up that, whatever he went into that high guard, he was a liability against Mikey. I don't know how he didn't see that, but it was like that was Mikey's tail. Like whenever he put on them earmuffs, I'm gonna wax his ass, and that's what he did. Look at how well Adrian Broner was doing when he had his hands down, right? Not in that hard guard against Mikey. Way better versus when he got in that hard guard. But it was okay to celebrate Mikey for putting hands and feet on Adrian Broner. But when Errol Spence dominates Mikey Garcia, beat his body up, just outboxed him, made him look pedestrian, he don't get no credit. The Mannix angle. I told y'all who Chris Mannix was. Let me show y'all this. I mean, this is, I'm telling y'all. And between Mannix and Mora, oh my gosh, man, the hit piece that they was doing, these guys, this guy, and then you got Whack Max. Media, these are hitmen, man. I'm gonna bring it to y'all attention. I want y'all to listen to the conversation. Listen to this conversation. Listen, go back and listen to some of these breakdowns and everything outside of what I told. I told y'all the fair criticism. Ring rush, right? Okay, cool. Is he still the same guy? Okay, cool. Those things. But the way that they are going out of their way, and this is the guy, man. This is like, he's probably the biggest culprit. This guy, probably the biggest culprit. So he's a Sports Illustrated writer, and he's a DAZN boxing analyst. So we gonna have to track his pre-fight language on Spence. This is the homework, y'all. Track his pre-fight language on Spence. Resume and decline. Separate opinion from fact on screen and in the remarks. Best tactic. Play short clips. This is where I could play the short clips with him. I'm going to let y'all do your homework. This is the big part right here. This is what I was trying to say. This is what I've been on here lately. And I don't think people really realize this because disregard the right side of the screen, right? Disregard that because we're not on that today. We're not on that young man today. But when PBC joined the zone, it was like little puppet. No more locked doors. Like there were no more sides of the street. There was no more, oh, I'm over here, he over there, or he's with that promoter, I'm with that promoter. That eliminated a lot of that. That made a lot of the cross promotional. Okay, cool. We all fighting the same platform. That eliminated that. I hope y'all tracking. Whack Mac. Manic is something special. He likes to create. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Yeah, Whack Max. But look, the landscape changed. PBC entered the zone. The landscape changed, but old narratives may not vanish overnight. I think we got a hangover from that. If y'all listen to the tone and the rhetoric, and I was gonna put the Z-Man up here. I'm trying not to do one with him, but he's a hitman too. He's a hitman too, and I use a lot of his material because he gets a lot of the interviews from guys that I like for some reason. And I give him. I always say that my salutes will always be just as loud as my criticisms. But I'm just gonna say the Z-Man. The Z-Man had him in radio up there, Radio Raheem, and he said the title was basically like, is PBC good or is it just hospice? I don't know if y'all know anything about the medical field. But hospice, y'all know what hospice is, right? It's where you got to get a caretaker around because you got a short leash left. You might, it's fourth quarter for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's looking like it ain't going into overtime. So they send in, caretakers, like nurse trained professionals to take care of you, ease your pain, give you medication, help you do whatever you can't do. Like, that's what they said. Is it hospice? Is PBC joining the zone? Is it just hospice? That's what he said. July 9th, 2026, the Zone and PBC announced a landmark agreement. PBC joined Matchroom, Golden Boy, Top Rank, Queensbury, Boxer, and others. This is a platform consolidation, not proof of changed media attitudes. So just because, so think about it. All this time when people were crying about PBC not going in, oh man, y'all gonna have to bend the knee. And I seen people bringing up Leonard Ellaby. And what he said, when he said you was fighting on the app at that time, that was whack. Why? People talk about it and complain about it now. People over here in the States, they didn't know about the zone. You had to kind of be hardcore in the know to be like, all right, look, I'm gonna go ahead and get the zone, or I'm gonna subscribe. Didn't nobody know about it. So in real time, Little Ellaby was right. Think about it. He was dealing with Floyd. They were dealing with fighters like Canelo, Floyd, all of them guys, Tank, and the number that they doing where you could see them, on HBO, Showtime, and then to at that time, Leonard Ellaby was spot on at the time with it being on the app. Now, since it didn't evolve, and it done got like this, like people what they fail to realize, and this is why I know it's a lot of people that be having a lot of dumbass people just sitting around listening to them because they funny. They got a little bit of character. They can get you hee hee ha ha. They can make you laugh a little bit. They don't use their critical thinking skills, and they don't do their research. Because I think the Zone or Eddie, whatever. However you want to, they on their second or third $1 billion fund. They just blow $1 billion. All right, let me get another $1 billion. Yeah, this round, let me go ahead and bring on in another $1 billion, and we gonna see how we can blow that. They done blew. Of course you're gonna bloom. when you ain't gotta be responsible for you being a money pit, and you can just always get somebody else to come in. I mean, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we need. Hey, bring over here. Yeah, hey, go ahead. Bring on the next billion. We ready for our next billion. Go ahead, bring that in. We gonna make good work of that. So people did all this crying. Yeah, I'm allowed to make up word. That's like whining and crying at the same time. My uncle used to say that. Quit all that crying. People did all this crying all this time about the PBC and not doing this. And even though there is a legit history of when the money makes sense, cross promotion wasn't no issue. Cross promotion always been an issue. Whereas PBC build a guy, and then another guy want to come by and take half or take more than what they've, proven that their market value was worth. But that, once again, when you got low level audience that don't really pay attention to that, they just want you. They just there because you can make them laugh. You can play little skits and shit. That's the only reason why. But cross promotion will always work. Look at the big fights. What happened with Deontay Wilder and who was let me hold on. Was Tyson Fury with was PBC and Deontay Wilder and them? Oh. Okay. It all when the money makes sense, the fights was making sense. And that's always been the case. People always act like, no, it's side of the street when you don't want to give or nobody wants to acquiesce and make it happen based on their worth. Right? And you might get somebody that get like raked over the coals or have to do their rite of passage. Sometimes it's a rite of passage the way the A side, they're gonna make you get down and dirty. Why? Because they're giving you an opportunity, and if you smack their ass, then it's gonna be over. So sometimes the A side was raking people over the coals, but that was always like a necessary evil. That was like a rite of passage. That was like when Floyd went up against Oscar. He had to taste the shortbread just to become the man. He had to. And what happened? He took off like a rocket. So sometimes that happens, right? And sometimes you got a guy that walking around saying they want it, right? But they don't really want it. They just want that guy's spot. But cross promotion never been an issue when it was a big fight and it was money there for the fight. Why? Because promoters are in the business of making money, not losing money. Contrary to this recency bias where they say, oh man, he got the bag like a sugar daddy. You don't care how much a sugar daddy trick off. If you got a sugar daddy, you gonna try to max him out. But it's coming around now where these sugar daddies, they gonna want some sugar. They gonna want some sugar. And that's where we at. The theory, old PBC hostility may still color coverage of PBC fighters. And this is what I'm getting at, y'all. These old sentiments about PBC and how they was doing things and whatever. Even though like they was mocking them for not joining, they finally joined, and people saying, "Oh man, now PBC finally decide." Like, and that's their claim to fame, talking to their dumbass audiences. It's like, okay, are you a boxing fan or are you a hater? Because it looked like the matters like certain individuals and in certain promotional companies. It don't matter what they do, they always get it the worst. And they happen to be one and the same. Do y'all notice that? A lot of the individual guys over there at PBC, they get the scrutiny right, but then PBC as a whole get the scrutiny. And it don't matter, like before when they were doing their thing and building their fighters. And mind you, they had the biggest fights. Mind you, they had the biggest fights, the highest grossing. They went by a model where it's like they're not going to lose money to put on a fight. They have a history, a track record of it. Floyd and Pacquiao. Look at what Tank and Ryan did. Like, so, even though they came on in, right, and they joined the party, they still got another platform where they can show their stuff. But they came on in, and now, okay, they got that platform. People are still complaining. And we're starting to see this, right? because I talked about this before the merger, before the 9th, right? When Matchroom was fighting Top Rank. And I've seen this, I've heard this, and I'm like, y'all have to do something about this. They tried to do something with this Abdullah Mason, but that was kind of weird. Why? Because Bell was with PBC, right? Bell was signed with PBC. Of course, Abdullah was with Top Rank. So then they brought in Bud and Sean Porter and Tim Bradley. And I thought maybe the commentary would even itself out, because I'm tired of seeing and hearing these guys that were Matchroom heavy call these guys, like calling fighters like when there's a mix between Matchroom and Top Rank. This is what I'm getting at, y'all. We getting ready to start really seeing these PBC guys and all this. And unless we get the Brian Custers, the Moro Ronaldis, those guys, unless we infuse them in there, y'all think it's nasty work now? Wait till they start calling fights with the PBC and them guys being in the ring, and they calling the fight in the angle that they choose. You thought you had to turn it down now. You think you got to turn the volume down now to avoid listening to these guys? Oh, it's gonna be biased as hell. So they're not letting it go. So even though PBC came in, people are still holding grudges. Like they still got something against PBC. And I'm like, are you a boxing fan? No, you're not. You're a capitalist. You're based on salaciousness. The theory. Spence may be absorbing more than fight criticism. PBC was long treated as the outside system in boxing media politics. Why? They didn't have a lot of people sitting around. Like, see, Top Rank used to do shows where they sat down and they had Tim Bradley and all, and they had them shows where they would sit around at a table and they would talk about everything. And then, since they was affiliated with ESPN, because they was on that ESPN, they just accredited, because they was doing a pound for pound list. They had all the talking points where they would actually come out and do these shows where they were sitting around in a huddle talking. So they were really controlling the conversation. PBC wasn't having that. They didn't have that. They would have people like Brian Custer. They would sit down and do interviews, but like interview is different than having a panel of people, former boxers, just sitting up there doing a talk show about what's going on a regular basis. Look at what the Ring magazine is doing, right? Look at what Pro Box is doing, right? Look at how all these factions, these different Zuffa, and they got their little thing, whatever, you know what I'm saying? They got these different factions where they're sitting down together in a huddle talking about the topics. So if you don't have one, which the PBC don't, why? Because of the business model, they didn't have one. I would say y'all need one, PBC. PBC needs one. Why? Because he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age. And if you don't have a faction that's driving or moving the needle in your favor, or at least to counteract some of that, people are just going to run with what the other guys are saying. Spence became one of PBC's most visible flag bearers. He was the big fish. It was the big fish. You know, doing numbers in jury world like that, and using the green print with Mikey Garcia. Oh, it had everybody in their feelings. Naturally so, because if you a hater, then you're a hater. But you would be singing because fighters would love to try to go down there. Listen to what Virgil was saying. Virgil was like, yeah, Errol Spence. Why? Because he's thinking about seeing all them people at Jury World being in the ring across from Errol Spence. That hurt a lot of people's feelings. I don't know why. That's just what he wanted to do. They both from Texas. That's like me when I was growing up. I could walk, and I played football, but I could walk to the stadium, to FedEx. They try to call it Rouse Yard, and that's Landover, Maryland, PG County. I could walk to that stadium. That's like me not wanting to play on that field in front of all the locals, everybody that I know, went to high school with, elementary school, middle school with, not to be able to play on that FedEx field, score a touchdown, make a pick, truck stick somebody, in that stadium, being from that area. This is like people in the Garden. This is like what they talking about, like what Teofimo Lopez did in the Garden. Tszyu, what he did in the garden. Like, why wouldn't he? But everybody was just looking at it because people are there. It's a lot of people that are respecters of fighters. Like, you know how that book say, God is not a respecter of persons. There's a lot of fans that are respecter of boxers, so they'll allow this boxer to say and do this and move like that, but they don't have no tolerance, no nothing else for this guy. So, because they were looking at the fact that Virgil wasn't talking about a fight with this other guy, he was wrong for saying something that they had already, like, they was already talking about. A lot of people was waiting for Errol to come back. Why? Because they wanted to be up in Jerry World, across from Errol with the name and then all them people in there. Why? For one, it's a legacy fight. For two, it's money. When PBC criticism sticks, the fighter can inherit the slant. If you got a criticism for a PBC guy, then that fighter is going to inherit it. I've even heard and seen this. I've even heard and seen people do this. Like, a guy could sign up. Just an example. I'll give you an example. A guy can sign up with Top Rank, right? And it'd be his first fight with Top Rank. And they'll pay him like, oh man, he's a Top Rank fighter. It's like, no, he just signed up over there. He just now got on board as a Top Rank fighter. Like, this is his first fight, but they're treated like, oh man, he's a Top Rank fighter. And I use that as an example because I've actually literally heard people say that. But there's a connotation. So if you coming like the way they're doing David Benavidez and the way he was moving prior to this Yao Batai, look at what they're doing with Yao Batai and David Benavidez. Who look like they ducking? Who look like they ducking? But what's the consistency out here? David Benavidez is inheriting that, right? Tank inherits a lot of it. Earl's inheriting a lot of it. Anybody like that's really affiliated with the PBC, they inherit some of that, y'all. And these media people are doing it. It's crazy. Australian turbulence. The undercard disruption gave the story another negative look. Jamal Charlo was denied an Australian visa. And that's like the big thing now. Like, oh man, like, and you'll see how people people be acting like they didn't like Maul and like that he wasn't who he was. He had some things that was going on in his personal life, and people want him to get back and be active and all that. But like the way people are talking, Jamal Charlo got a lot more fans than everybody. Like, a lot of people are closeted Jamal Charlo fans because they know he nice. They know he has one of the best jabs in the game. They know how nice Jamal Charlo is. Even when you look at that highlight of how he did, respectfully, how he did J-Rock. He catch, blocked, and then came back with the same hand with the uppercut. And boom, one of the best knockouts I've ever seen. One of them. They know how nice he is, but with him being denied, you can hear and see the rumblings, right? And what did that do? They added another thing for people to talk about to degrade and to devalue Errol Spence's comeback. His fight with Cohen Mazurier was canceled from the Spence Tszyu undercard. Reports say No Limit made repeated attempts to secure the visa. Effect. So now they're saying less star power and more event in trouble coverage. So now we get more, this event is in trouble and blah, 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 and this and that. More taken away. A fair reading, the honest version of the argument. Some skepticism is reasonable. Yes, this is what I was mentioning earlier. The layoff, the weight, the opponent, the travel, okay. But some skepticism becomes a slant when context disappears. Hey, that's what I always try to say. It's a lot of people. I sit and I listen to a lot of people. I try to fuck with a lot of people, man. I try to support a lot of people. If you saying some shit I agree with, and I'm like, oh man, that's solid and that's thorough, I'm gonna say something. If you saying some shit that just like, I don't just disagree just to disagree, but if you say some shit that's just outrageous and all that, I'm gonna be like, hey man, hold on, man. Come on now. So if you're not using context, and a lot of people don't use context, Spence's resume deserved the same respect given before the loss. And that's why I was saying, I was like, man, the reaction of fans from how and what happened with that Errol Spence and Bud, the results of that, I was like, this is what's going to lead. And maybe this is some of the behavior we're getting. And I'm not being an apologist for it. I'm not being, but maybe this is why it's so hard to get some of these guys to get in the ring. Especially if you dealing with somebody that got melatonin, aka NyQuil in their gloves. And you might not, the ref might not get a chance to come in there and console you. You might be laid out on the canvas like Leo Santa Cruz. Maybe that's why, because they saw Earl go get Legacy. He consolidated 3 straps. He wound up getting stopped by Bud. And that's the whole thing. That getting stopped by Bud overshadows everything he done. Maybe that's why some of these little cats out here running around, you know, playing all of the reindeer games that they playing. Ring around the rosies, pocket full of toesies. Maybe because if they get in the ring with the wrong person, they all gonna fall down. Maybe. I'm not sure. But the ring should answer what the narrative already sentenced. The ring. Remember what Bernard Hopkins said? The ring is the lie detector. So let's let the ring be the lie detector, man. I no other culture do I know of, man, do this. People are excited about Berlanga coming back. They excited. They, oh man, he coming back. And yeah, but look at how they doing Earl. Like, we one of them cultures, man, where we can't win for losing. That's the whole thing about that's the epitome saying right there. Cause I used to do this, you know, all them cliches that people say. I got a book where I took a lot of them cliches. It's a published book where I took them, like, I did years ago. Pretty deep. But I always took them cliches, right, and looked up the history of them. If I could remember to, if I hear a cliche, I'll look up the history of it and I'll deep dive on it. But Errol Spence, what's going on right now with Errol Spence is the epitome of it. You know how somebody say, I can't win for losing? So because he lost, he is no more winning for him. He is, no matter what he do, he can't win. You might have got fired because you got fired from that job. Now you no matter what else, no matter how good you was at any other job, no matter how good you was with any other contracts you had, if you self-employed, no matter how good. Even back when I was doing HVAC, like you could have troubleshoot and fixed so many things, but okay, you misdiagnosed this one thing or this one issue go wrong. Now you can't do no good because of that one thing. As punctual as I am, if I say I'm coming on at 9:15, goddamn it, 9:15, 9:14, I'm already in there. I'm on military shit. If you on time, you late. We go 10 minutes prior. It's ingrained, it's rooted. So you could be punctual all the time, every time, the first time you late. You can be one of them people that cross your T's, dot your I's all the time. The first time. Y'all remember on What's Love Got to Do with It? Y'all remember what Ike told the backup dancers? He said, all right now, you miss a step today, you gonna be frying fish tomorrow. I was like, man, that's bars. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. You do one thing wrong. That's how it is in life. You do one thing. You do one little thing that somebody don't like, and you can't win no more. You can't. You no good. It's over. That's what Earl going through right now. He's already been sentenced. He can the man fight? Can he come back? Now if we come back, we'll see his punch resistant. Can he come back? Can he get a fair shake on his way back? Being the legend that he is, because I guarantee we see this with the other cultures. I just told y'all about Manny Pacquiao. That's the best example. But some of these guys, they come back and they get shot. We just seen this with Berlanga, his fans, the Puerto Rican crowd, they all behind him. With us, we shitting on Earl. We trying to magnify the shit that happened with him and Derrick James. We magnifying, like we blowing, we putting Errol Spence's resume under the microscope. Y'all know how trifling we look and sound? Yeah, that too. That too. That too. I'm glad you said that. That was Jason Williams. Salute for that, Jason Williams. Salute for that. That's what I said. That was like greasy. I'm like, that's nasty work. EJ got a former homeboy that did an interview talking about how EJ didn't keep it real with him, and it comes out right before his comeback, right? And you know, people are actually going into that. You know, people are actually going into that and spreading it and propagating it even more. That's nasty work right before the man come back. Pitbull Cruz have like 4 losses already. Have a big fan, right? There's so many different people that do this, man. Like it's like it's so many, man. It's so many. This happens so many times. Even AJ, look at AJ. AJ, he's still over there in the UK. His fan base locked in. They don't care. Tyson Fury, they don't care. Derek Chisora over there, his fan base, they don't care. They want him back. Even though they saw that Deontay Wilder fight and him and Deontay, they want him back. Why is Earl, a guy that lost one time to the #1 pound, the guy who went on to be #1 pound for pound and then retired, lost one time. And look at what's going on. Do some body work on my like button. Hype the video. Share it, man. Let people know, man. Nutritional value over here. But we coming to a close now. I'm getting ready to wrap it up here. But nasty work, man. We the only ones that move out. Like, and then you gotta understand, like, a lot of people say, oh, we report on everything. We're gonna touch base on everything. We gonna it's like, no, sometimes it's not conducive to the bigger picture, y'all. It's just not conducive. A lot of people get used, right? And they don't even realize they're being used. So why would you perpetuate it? Why would you put a magnifying glass on it and blow it up and do all this outlandish and give all of the whatever to give more fuel for the hate under the illusion that you're just unbiased? Come on, man. You're being used, man. I don't do that. You won't catch me doing that. This channel is not built on that. Evidence map. How to present this cleanly to the audience. Show the negative headlines and clips. We can do that. Rebuild the resume with names and rankings. We kind of briefly went through that, right? Explain the PBC DAZN timeline. I did that. And then ask whether the tone follows the facts or the old fight politics. Like, is the tone that EJ is coming back with, like, is it even, like, we got his fans on some political bullshit. People that say they was diehard Errol Spence fan, now they say, oh man, his mind don't look right, he don't seem right. Why? So after the fact, you can say I knew Tszyu. So no, because people gonna be hindsight. People gonna be hindsight with this. If Tszyu go in there and wax his ass, they got something on record. Like, yeah, remember that video I did on Sunday? Oh, yeah, I told you, man, the dude was in a weird headspace and all that. And then when Earl come out and if he do the same thing he did, hypothetically, let's say he do the same thing, he'll be like, yeah, man, I told you. Oh, man, you can't trust Earl. You can't blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, like I said, we don't realize that we be getting used, man. We be getting used and abused and we don't even know it. And I'm like, man, I always say this. If you got like if you have a large amount of influence, to me, you have a large amount of responsibility. But people don't want to do that. This is like people say, oh, I ain't no role model. It's like by default you are. By default you are. You know, let's just get an example. I remember Cardi B one time. She said, like, no, I'm not here. If your children listen to, yes, that's a parenting issue. That's a parenting issue. Like if you let your children listen to a certain, artist and certain music and you allow, that's a parenting issue. And no, an artist, a boxer, no, saying all that They should not be role models, but guess what? There are people that's coming behind him that's going to try to mimic, mock, assimilate to whatever it is they're doing. So by default, you might not want to be a role model. And maybe role model is not the right case. That's why I don't use role model. I say that along with big influence comes big responsibility. It's irresponsible to sit around and have 500 to 1,000 people listen to you say whatever it is you're saying, and you're not giving context, right? You're not giving the specific, you're leaving out details. You didn't even do your due diligence. You heard somebody over there say it, and you're like, oh yeah, I rock with them. And then you came in there and you repeated it, and you're wrong. No context. Cause why? Because you don't have the time to get down into the minutia of it all. You don't have time. All you got time to do is to be salacious enough to keep enough people around to hee, ha ha, get a couple laughs, build a little bit of camaraderie or whatever. Broad strokes. Nothing pertinent, nothing specific, nothing legitimate. But if you're influenced that many people, you have a responsibility to do that. You do. Especially if you're a type of channel where, I know there's one channel, if you get up there, and especially, this is crazy. If you get up there and you say something that they don't like, he gonna kick you off and be like, nah, I told y'all we not gonna be doing no lying up here. But he lies all the time. Like all the time. And if somebody else called in with that BS, right, that's conducive to his narrative in the fighter that he's on the payroll for, he gonna let it ride. He gonna let it ride. That's that shit I don't like. You feel me, Jay? Yeah, a lot of channels pointing out the training video EJ put out, and they saying he looks bad, balanced. Yeah. I say we let it speak for itself. We all know, okay, you already dealing with the inactivity. Like the odds are already stacked up against you. But why do we join in it? I keep telling y'all, you got people that's vying for Errol Spence to come back, waiting to see him. Not me. Vying for Manny Pacquiao to get another shot. Vying to see Tyson Fury do it again. Vying for Adrian Broner to come back and get a title shot. But Earl, Big EJ, he deserved that. Do he deserve that? Do EJ, what he gave us all the years he was moving the way he was supposed to move, right? Doing what he was supposed to do, man downing people. I'm telling you, he was stopping 11. He was knocking out 11 out of 4. Every 14 people he was knocking or stopping or whatever. No, it wasn't seeing the final bell. 11 out of the 14, y'all. At that level. He lost one time and now he can't win for losing on no aspect to where you can say whatever you want. You can think, oh, I'm just putting out information, but you slandering just as bad as the ops. And you don't even know it. You don't even know it. Or you don't even see it. You too conceited. The comeback should be judged in the ring, not pre-written by the panel. If one loss to an elite fighter cancels a champion's entire resume, then boxing history has no legends. The comeback should be judged in the ring, not pre-written by the panel. If one loss to an elite fighter cancels a champion's entire resume, then boxing history has no legends. Why? Because it used to be back in the day, it was a rite of passage to lose. We really don't know who you were. Like now we say, oh, until you get hit in the chin or until you get dropped and you have to face adversity in the fight. People gaslight that and say, oh man, you want me to stand there and just get hit, don't you? Don't you? You want me to stand there and just get hit, don't you? It's like one extreme. That's like some BIT See, you know, that's that kind of behavior. If you ask me, we had the young man trying to say some stuff like, "Oh man, they just want me to stand right there and play rock'em sock'em." We even got Andre Ward saying stuff like that. Oh man, if you want a fighter to just, it's like, man, I feel sorry for your lady, man, and how y'all be arguing, man, because if you use that kind of shit, she don't stand a chance. It's like you say, leave me alone. Oh, you want me to just go run out in traffic? Okay. That's not what it means. Go lay down. Oh, you want me to put myself to sleep? You want me to take these pills and put myself to sleep? It's like, no, that's not what I mean. Give me a second. All right, well, I'm gonna talk to you next year. It's like, come on, y'all. Come on, dog. Come on, man. Come on now. Yeah, they anticipate him to come back. Ain't no Canelo fans hating on him on his upcoming fight after being dominated by Bud. Yep. And we knew, everybody knew Earl got in there with something wrong before that man to go 9 rounds. And we got people that'll take a knee. Hell, Stan Giannis, he didn't even come out. He retired on the stool. We just seen another dude take a knee and look over the corner, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm good. We just seen the big ass heavyweight, Joe Joyce. Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. I'm good, dog. Put them hands and feet on me, man. EJ wasn't like that, man. But that's why I say fruits and veggies, man, because this is the sources. These are the sources, y'all. This is the context for everything. This is the context for everything that I said. These are the sources right here. That's why I say this be fruits and veggies, not that Reggie, man. But I don't think, you know what? This is probably one of them things where people, because this happens, right? I get off, right? I get off the channel, and then they'll show, it's like right when I do all of the wrap-ups, then I'll get an alert for this video. But this is one, especially with the thumbnail and the title, the YouTube and the algorithm, they wasn't going to let this push. Why? Because this is going up against the major media and the powers that be. But this is what I want to tell y'all, man, in closing. This is just food for thought, y'all. It's fight week, right? And we don't know, you know, I'm putting out positive energy for Earl, man. I hope that he do well. You know, I don't want to see my guy, you know, I don't want to see him. I want to see my guy have success, right? I'm still man down, right? But I want y'all to listen to the media this week. I want y'all to carefully look at what they're emphasizing. Look at what the first thing they say. Are they doing things even? Because I haven't heard like with Tszyu. I heard somebody say they both damaged goods. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they say. I'm like, okay, so if we're gonna be, if you perceive that they both damaged goods, let's give it an even-handed approach about them. How are they both being damaged goods? Did Tszyu, was he able to get 3 years of respite? No. The narrative is he fought like 8 times in the time that Errol Spence was gone. But what happened? What kind of damage did he take? I think Errol Spence matured spiritually. You know, I think, you know, spending time with your family and being able to be in your children's life, I bet you that enriched his heart. Probably added on a couple years to the end of his life, you know, giving everything and then, you know, in the gym, the wears and tears, the rigors and all of that. And then giving himself time to mentally prepare. You know, we're not going to know because like Bernard Hopkins say, that ring is going to be the lie detector. I'm just like, man, we give a lot of other people the benefit of the doubt with a lot of other things. But I see now that, especially in this YouTube space, for that the sake of you being wrong or the sake of somebody going back to your video, you got to come out and say, oh, man, this is what I think, man. And you got to get that. So why? So in hindsight, when it's all said and done, you can come back and be like, I told y'all, I told you. I told you so, looking ass. We not gonna do that, man. Much power, much respect to Big EJ. Hope you have a successful return, but I want y'all to keep a close eye on the media. I want y'all to listen to the perspectives, listen to the slants, and then when this fight finally come about, I want y'all to listen to how they call it, how they announce it, how they gonna handle this. Because if PBC don't got none of them key players like the Moro Ronaldis and some of the guys that they used to have, man, this is gonna be some nasty work, y'all. But as I say, Boots Ennis gave us an entertaining performance, went through adversity, and came out on top, and is criticized. Yeah, I'm tired of talking about that, man. I'm not talking about that no more. We know who's driving that, man. We know what fan base is really driving that conversation, and the people that still complaining about that is feeding into that narrative as well. It's like Boots done moved on. Boots, if you go back and listen to it, right? Boots gave himself a C. Boots gave himself a C. So I'm tired of talking about that kind of shit. This one is about Big EJ, man. And hopefully I did him justice, y'all. I always say, man, fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Fact-based content, not opinion-based, y'all. This was a nutritionally value-packed live. You know, I hope you got something from this. I hope you started thinking about it like, that's gonna be interesting. Because a lot of people be saying they want things fair, but they want their favorite fighter to have all these advantages. They want this one to be able to do this. It's like, man, come on, man. We want to see good fights. We want to see good matchups. We want to see. We believe in legacy. We still do believe in legacy. What's going to be the barometer once they put it to where, okay, I want this guy to fight this guy? How are we going to know who is that guy unless they have some kind of metrics, some kind of standard to measure them in? That's why we put them all on the scale. We want to know the length, the width, the breadth, the depth, the buoyancy, the volume, and the capacity of them all. And that's what we do, man. I want to put something on your mind. Y'all know the mantra, silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we got to talk about this, man. Don't let these media hit, man. Look at this, y'all. It's getting worse. It's getting worse, man. It's getting worse. Because they not fighting, so what? The fact that they not fighting, they more heavy-handed with the media stuff. Like what people are saying. Like people are not even fighting, yet they come up with a new narrative that we got to fight against on social media. Whack Max. Lord forbid you hear what this dude got to say right here. Another assassin. He got something coming because he assassinated a lot of guys in the media too. This guy right here, man, he's a triple threat. He can write about it. He can do his YouTube channel about it. Then he can show up and be calling the fight and give the unofficial scorecard and rake you over the coals in that manner. That dude is a triple threat. Then you got this guy. At that Diego Pacheco fight, man, if y'all were looking at it, if y'all heard Sergio Mora and the things he was saying about Errol Spence and the Tszyu fight, oh my gosh. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I really can't judge, but it's clear as day what's going on, y'all. So I think that this man is being sabotaged, man. You got the personal guy. You got the guy coming out airing that, whatever that story was, that fabled on that hour and whatever. I think it was almost 2 hours or something. I think. I ain't watch it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't watch it. But you got that guy, you got fake ass fans coming out, already putting it out there that he's not right and he's not this and he's not that. It's like no other culture do that, man. No other culture do this. So this is the media, man, trying to come get Spence, man. I hope Spence is right, man. I don't want to see the Roy Jones stuff. Like when I started seeing Roy, You know, and it was already past the time, you know what I'm saying? But I think Spence got a shot. He got a shot. He got his second win, and Spence is one of them guys. I don't think he had a point, especially with being healed up and all that. I don't think he had a point where he'd just be doing this just to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because why? I mean, he already got everything. He got the investments. He got everything set up to where, you know, everything is going on, moving along. Salute the front line. But that's it, y'all, man. Support the channel. Like the videos, right? If you haven't subscribed to the videos, right? We are monetized. You can super chat the video. It's okay. It's okay to super chat. You know, you can cash out. You can hype a video. That's what I really need. I need people to hype my videos, man. I appreciate you, Jay. Thanks for showing up. Have a good evening, man. Pay attention to what I was saying, though, man. Listen to this media, you know, with a clear ear. You know, don't be influenced, man. But that's all I have for you, man. I want to put something down for Big EJ, man, and say, look, man, you still got fans, man. We ain't with that bullshit. We not gonna paint you in no negative light. We want your comeback to be successful. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to see you down bad. You know, they always say that the best man win, but like, we ain't gonna sit up here and act like Errol Spence ain't got no real fans. But y'all know how I am when it come down to this bodywork, boxing type talk. I can do this shit all day and all night. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.